I'm breaking out, I'm breaking in. I just can't help this state I'm in. I'm on my way, y'all. So put your shades on, this light's so bright, it's blinding. I'm radiating love, I'm radiating love, I'm radiating love. Breaking free, I'm breaking ground. I can't explain this thing I found. The clouds have moved on. I got my groove on. This pep in my steps infectious. I'm radiating love. I'm radiating love. I'm radiating love. I've been stuck in a rut. I've been shit out of luck. I've been wondering what is up with me. And then I realized it's up to me to decide. I can just be radiating love. I'm radiating love. I'm radiating love. I'm radiating love.
Hi, everyone. Welcome, and welcome everyone here. Happy Halloween. We're just crazy here at the New Thought Spiritual Center. Thank you for joining us this morning. Welcome, everyone, all my friends here, and all of you beloveds out there. We're happy that you brought your consciousness to our consciousness. We feel the energy even from all you folks in internet land, as well as all the great people who are here in person, because we are actually doing in-person celebrations on Sundays now here in the Burbank area. If you happen to live in Southern California, for those in Scotland, sorry. So welcome, and we're so happy that you're here. And the first thing we like to do when we get together is talk about our statement of principles, who the New Thought Spiritual Center is. I happen to be Reverend Jay Willick. I'm the senior minister here. But who is the New Thought Spiritual Center? We find out by going through our statement of principles. And here they are right behind me on these great flags that we have. First, we'll start with our purpose statement, which is reveal the divinity in you. Can everybody say that together? Reveal the divinity in you. That's great. And then our vision statement, the way that we're going to produce this purpose statement is to vibrate at the speed of the divine. And in order to do this vision statement, we need a mission statement. And here it is, and that is to bust through, soar, and zoom. Now, and zoom, yeah, thank you. And hi, guys, come on in. No, you don't have to sneak in. They're sneaking in because it's Halloween. Trick or treat. I have nothing for you.
Yes, you do.
Well, I do. Yes, I do. You're right. So you will get a treat as we move through. So every month we like to highlight one of our statement of principles. And this month of October, we're doing the vision statement, which, as we said, was vibrate at the speed of the divine. And like I have done every week, this month. We want to read, and you might not be able to see it because of all the furniture here, this great quote from Meister Eckhart, who was a Catholic mystic in the Middle Ages. Great writings. He wrote, "The eye with which I see God is the same with which God sees me," which I think is so important to be reminded of. Maybe not every day, but once a week at least, I need to be reminded of that God sees life through my experience of it, that the divine, or whatever you want to call it, is experiencing life through our experiences. And think how important that is, and how great that is, and how powerful that is. I remind myself of that at least once a week, especially months that we don't speak out this quote from Meister Eckhart. So at this moment, we're going to step into our sacred space. As you know, a sacred space doesn't have to be in front of an altar or with great lighting or sage burning or all that wonderful stuff. That is all fabulous, and put essential oils on you, and I groove to that myself. But we can make a sacred space no matter where we are. And so we do that right here, even with traffic going by here. And sometimes you can hear music from the church across the street. Either way, we create a sacred space right here. And we're going to do so right now. Now, those of you watching online are seeing these images of a sacred space, bringing you into the idea that there is one mind. And in this one mind, in this place, even though it's beyond a place, but in this place is all that we require, is all that power is needed to create our best life. And so we enter that space now. We create that space in our heart, in our mind, in our body. So you may see I've closed my eyes. You don't have to. You can put them at a soft focus if you'd like. For those at home, please put your feet on the floor or sit cross-legged. It allows the energies and the frequencies to come through undeterred. And we're going to take a deep breath together, and we're going to hold it for a few seconds. So let's take that deep breath together through our noses. And then we're going to hold it just for 3, 2, 1. Release it through your mouth. We want to take that through our nose once again. Hold it. 2, 1. Then release it through our mouth. Do that one more time. As you get comfortable, as you focus on the music in the background and my voice in the foreground, allow yourself to feel the energies from around you, the energy from the Mother Gaia, from the earth. Allow that spinning energy, that wonderful love of our planet come through from the bottom of your feet. Feel it vibrate in your legs, past your knees. Feel the never-ending love of Mother Earth energize you, vibrate your very being. And you don't have to do this physically, but mentally open your arms. You can do this just in your mind. Open your arms and your heart. Allow from the universe to bring down this cosmic energy. You may see it as the power of the sun, the light of the sun. Allow this energy, which is actually all around you, but allow it to come down upon you. Drip its love, its power, its intelligence, like honey upon the top of your head, like oils, allowing them to drip down, this energy to vibrate throughout your body, your mind, your arms, your heart. Allow these energies to connect. Breathe. Remember to breathe. This morning I'm going to randomly pick from the Divine Feminine cards that I love so much by Megan Watterson. And I'll just pick one, not too far from the bottom, because I don't want to pick one that we've already done in the last year or so that we've been able to get through many of them. And it looks like I picked Teresa of Avila. And I'll look her up now. We will see what Teresa is all about, what she has to say. The card reads, Teresa of Avila, Our Lady of the Interior Life. Perfect. And she says, I trust the answers I find within me. I know that the presence of love is real. With passion and conviction, Teresa of Avila connects us to the love and truth available to us whenever we turn inward. Born in Spain in 1515. Teresa read every book she could on spiritual exploration and contemplative prayer. By the time she was a young adult, she knew she wanted to dedicate her life to the interior world. Teresa was a Carmelite nun, and over her life she founded 17 convents throughout Spain. Teresa wrote in the hope of assisting her sisters in the convent who also reached the innermost castle where God dwells in our souls. Reminded them that we ourselves are the castle. That the door of entry into this castle is prayer and meditation. The inner journey was so significant to St. Teresa because she believed that God didn't care about the magnitude of anything we do, but rather the amount of love that we do it with. And this is what our soul speaks to each of us because of the card being selected. St. Teresa is a call for the importance of the interior life. She knew intimately about the spiritual wealth we all possess and have access to if we're willing to go with it. She not only emphasized the need to meditate and to pray in order to reach that innermost castle where the soul waits for us, but she also instructed the sisters of her convent on how to discern the presence of the soul or of a saint or of a body. Holy person. and is giving us wisdom from within us. She had a bookmark that supposedly read, "If you have God, you will want for nothing. God alone suffices." This synthesizes the wisdom of her experience. Nothing less than divine love will satiate a seeker, especially once you have met it from within. She urges us to meditate, to pray, to go inward and meet the presence of the soul. And then she asks for us to believe that it is real and that the answers we find are real. She asks us to move that inner truth out into the world with confidence and conviction. What does love feel like in my body? What does love feel like in my body? Breath. I trust the answers I find within me. I know the presence of love is real, is here, is now. It is in this moment that we feel this love, we feel this presence. And from this feeling, from this acceptance, we take it forth into our lives. As did Saint Teresa, Our Lady of the Interior Life. I trust the answers I find within me, and I know the presence of love is real. And so as we bring ourselves back to the room, keeping within us this sacred space, we take a deep breath. Hold it. 3, 2, 1. Release. Wiggle your toes and your fingers. And slowly open your eyes. I'm going to show you the picture of Teresa of Avila, Spain. You may be saying that town incorrectly. I apologize, but it's a beautiful picture. It's such a great thing about these cards as they were designed. These beautiful pictures for you at home. So, for anyone interested, you can get these cards through Hay House. Again, a free advertisement. What's going on here? All right. So it is the 5th week of a month. And on the 5th week of a month, which is a few times during the year, I bring this out. My big, fancy, expensive, leather-bound Science of Mind book. I should say Science of Mind and Spirit, which was the original title of it, by Ernest Holmes. This is the book where much of our philosophy that we teach here comes from. But like Ernest Holmes said himself, you must be open at the top. And we don't just use this book. We use everything and before and beyond. Everything before this, he pretty much put in here. But everything beyond, we also bring in, as well as science, because it is the science of mind. So when you hear neuroscience kind of stuff and modern ideas of goal setting and all of that motivational kind of teachings, that's because Ernest Holmes always said, you know what? If you're using only this book 50 years or more from now, and he wrote this in late 20s, early 30s, you didn't get what I was saying, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing to say. So how we work this out is, now sometimes over the 18 months when we were only online, I just I picked the date. I use the date and then flip through. But since we are in person and we have people here, so I am going to ask my beloveds here a number between.
People are
That's nice of you to say. A number between, we will skip the glossary, although I could speak on the glossary, so let's keep the glossary. A number between 1 and 646. Anybody? What?
111.
111. So we go to 111. You've been to 111? Okay. You've been to that page? All right. That's okay. 111, here we are. Okay, so now 111 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs. So pick a number between 1 and 5. 3 it is. So we open the book. We go to the third paragraph, 1, 2, 3, and he says, oh, this is from the chapter called Man's Relationship. And of course, he means not man as the gender, but man as the human. And this section is called Punishment and Reward. Yeah. Not like we usually think of it, but let's see what he says here in the third paragraph. He says, the age-long discussion of the problem of evil. Okay, well, that's perfect because it's Halloween. The problem of evil will never be answered until we realize that evil is not a thing of itself. It is simply a misuse of the law of freedom. The problem of evil will be met only to the degree that we cease doing evil and do good, for evil will disappear when we no longer indulge in it. When the whole world sees the right and does it, then and not until then will the problem of evil be resolved for the entire race. So, first of all, let me just quickly talk about this a little bit. First of all, obviously he's not talking about evil as some entity. Evil is an action that we do. And whether it is evil could be a matter of opinion, but let us just centralize this in saying that evil is anything that is destructive, that doesn't move you forward. So that could be a big, horrible thing, or it could be just a little thing that just keeps you back. It just keeps you not doing what you need to do, whether it's take action, whether it's spiritual practice, whether it's sitting down and being quiet, or whatever it is. You know, it's those teeny evils, actually, in a way, that start adding up to possible big evils. So he's not talking about an entity or ghosts or any of that kind of stuff. So as we use our powers, I don't want to use the word correctly, but as we use our powers in a constructive way, then we will have less and less evil because we are using the law of freedom for us, focusing on things for us versus things against us. From the science of mind. So now let's step into our affirmative incantation for the week. I write these every week. Those online, you'll probably have to look. Well, there you go. We're going to put the card in front of you in a second because my mistake, I didn't add it to the slide like I'm supposed to. So there's a little teeny evil. So just a reminder, every morning before you wake up and every evening before you go to sleep. At the very least, read it. Yes, before you wake up.
Tape it to your forehead.
You know, it takes a little work. Come on. When you wake up. Sorry. That is correct, and thank you for the correction. Who are these people? Anyway, so for this week, here it is. We can read it together. Please do. And here we go. I courageously dive in. I appreciate the harvest this day brings. The persons, places, and ideas that forward my intentions grow today as the infinite opportunities inside me are ready to blossom. I easily accomplish that one thing that makes the rest of my day fly with dynamic accomplishment. I am reaping the awards of this affirmation starting now. Here I soar. So here I soar from this moment on, every day, all week. Let us close our eyes and do a spiritual mind treatment and affirmative prayer together and know this. There is one mind, there is one power in this universe, and it lives within us. It is us. We are it. We reveal it every day, every moment, in all of ourselves. In every cell, we show the world the divinity that we express. So in this power and presence that is within us, I declare that each of us in our lives bring forth what it is we have decided to blossom. What it is we have decided to harvest, to burgeon into this life. Whatever it is, we focus on it as being here now. For we know in this declaration, in this revealing of our divine selves, we express in the greatest way God. God is expressed through each and every one of us, through our deeds, through our actions, through our thoughts and beliefs, through that which we have decided to bring forth into our experience right now. And now, in this word, with my word, we are doing it with ease. We clip off what needs to be clipped off. We feed what needs to be fed. And with this nutrition of mind and body and heart and action and connection with that divine intelligence, in great gratitude and appreciation, we bring forth into our worlds our greatest good and our next greatest good and our next. Releasing this word, releasing this knowing, this declaring, this revealing. Together we say, and so it is. So, we get to have some great music.
Move out the way, Reverend.
Oh, sorry.
Move out the way.
Oh, this is.
We know we're talking about
takeover.
something scary about Halloween, and
I'm already scared.
the scariest thing that I could do is take over the service. You knew that this was going to happen eventually.
Eventually.
So why don't you go sit over there and chew on your thumbs? I'm going to do a little talk here.
Okay.
That's right.
All right.
Okay, so one of the things that I think about spirit that comes around with Halloween is, of course, ghostly spirits, right? People dress up as zombies. So being from a bicultural person and being Mexican, there's the celebration of Días de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. So I will read from the book of Siempre. Siempre. This is my grandmother who taught me all about joy, happiness, and love. She was no taller than E.T. and she barely spoke any English. But she was the beginning of where I learned about being who I am supposed to be. Now, Dias de los Muertos is primarily just a Mexican tradition that honors remembrance and prayers to those who have died. That's one thing we have no problem as Mexicans is we just say they died. We can say that, okay? And families visit graves or memorials, and they hang out, and they bring food, and they bring beverages, and they bring music, and they spend time with the dead. Chris, I don't know if I've told you, but there's a hill along the freeway there where a bunch of my family members are buried. And I've gone there and played my guitar to them, and I don't need this anymore. My mother, strangely enough, has been hanging out for me longer than I ever thought I was because her box of ashes just moves around the back studio in my house, all right? But I could still hear her, asking me for something to drink. My only dearest friend from college passed away too young. Many idols and people who I admire have died too soon. And death has a way of just making you think about how you're going to feel about things after that. And, and that's what I like about this Dia de los Muertos, because you do have to celebrate to those who have passed on and making their remembrance everlasting. So I wrote this song, as I have always write these songs for church. They are, Spirit gives me a melody, and I have this idea, and I bring it to you all. So this one, there's no rock star moment. If you all want to just kind of drift into the serenity of the song, let's give it out. Let's give it out to it. So all, especially this past year and the last couple of years, a lot of people have passed away. But to those who are really endeared to your heart, this is what the song's for. Saludar a todos con las días de los muertos, manejar todos nuestros, recordar con amor, asegurar mi amor que te guíes por siempre, nunca te olvidaré. Todavía puedes sentir su sonrisa en mi cara. Todavía puedes ver la luz de tus ojos. Tu bendición rodea la vida que yo vivo. Y ahora tu vida vive en mí. Salute to all of those who are of the Day of the Dead. Handle all our memories with love. Assure my love that I give you is always, always. Because never will I ever forget you. I can still feel your laughter upon my face. And I can still see the light of your eyes. Blessings surround the life I live. And now your life lives on in me. Saludar a todo con las días de los muertos. Espero todo parezcas bien. El destino mantiene mi corazón más abierto. Ahora es parte de todo que es la vida. Estás entruzada en mí. Eres parte del espíritu también. A menudo estás en mis pensamientos. Y ahora tu vida vive en mí. salute to all of you who are of the Day of the Dead. Destiny, I hope that all for you is still well. Destiny keeps my heart so wide open, for you are now part of everything in the life I live. You are embedded in me, and you are also as part of the spiritualness as well. And you are often in my thoughts. And now your life lives on in me. Saludará todo con las días de los muertos, y ahora tu vida viva en mí.
Serenaded. Who knew there could be a serenading type song about the dead? It's beautiful. Thank you so much. So, good stuff. Steve's going to be, that was Steve Apperson, for those out there who doesn't know Steve. You've seen him. You've seen him all year, all for 2 years. So how cool. How cool. How fortunate for us. And he'll be back. He's got another song later at the end of our service this morning. So my talk title is, Isn't It Spooky? And today I want to explore the word spooky and its synonyms as questions exploring our teaching, not questions about our teaching, but exploring, a way to explore our teaching. So firstly, the question I want to ask is, isn't it unearthly? And Rumi says, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there, he says. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make sense. He's talking about this place of pure energy, of pure love, of oneness that is so powerful that no duality of thought can be had or lived. And we'll all eventually meet there. And I'm not talking about just when we die, because we can meet there anytime when we connect to the energy of the divine. When we take the moment together, as we did earlier in the service. We were stepping in, we were communing with the divine together. And that energy is felt not only here, but out there and within each other, and unknowingly to even people out driving by. We may not know we're all there or even care that we're all there, but we will find a camaraderie when we are there within ourselves, just like we are there together. So no matter where we are on the mountain of success in any part of our lives, every once in a while we have to remember to pause and connect with that oneness that we are. And remind ourselves that we are living an experience as spiritual beings acting in a human experience, accentuated by a never-ending divine communion. Never ending. It's constantly expanding. And as we commune with it, we constantly expand ourselves and each other, and of course, spirit, because like I said earlier, spirit experiences a life through us individually. We must intentionally rise to a meeting point out beyond this living stuff. It's a place where we can meet as visionaries, as evolutionists, and individuations of spirit. And I don't mean evolutionists like the theory of evolution. I mean to evolve not only ourselves, but our whole species. It's a place beyond this planet. It's a place beyond the brain, beyond this physical world. It's beyond the beyond, actually. It's unearthly, where we lie in a field of infinite possibilities, surrounded by an energy of love and peace, appreciation and gratitude, and empowered. We are empowered in this moment, especially because we are intentionally there by creation itself. We're always empowered by creation, but when we connect and commune with it, that power gets accentuated. Now, secondly, I want to ask this: isn't it haunting? Of course, we're speaking about spooky things, so let's go into the Bible a little bit. In Psalm, this is a great little quote. In Psalm 121, it says, "I lift up mine eyes to the mountain from whence comes my help." Now, in this case, the mountain we're talking about is the universe, the divine mountain, so to speak. So, question is, do you feel stuck in any of your current circumstances? I do sometimes. I don't know why anybody else wouldn't. I'm not special in that way. We all do in one way or another. It feels like we're haunted by versions of some past junk, past stories or thoughts or deeds, and they're seeking to take control of the now. That's haunting. It's scary. It's spooky. There's a story about a samurai warrior whose name was Cain. And he first came to California from Tokyo and brought his new wife, the beautiful Ishi. She was an ideal wife, gentle, attentive, and a wonderful cook. I did not write this story, so let's not talk about their description of ideal wife. Cain was the envy of his new neighbors, but he was a proud man. He was a proud man. Change that word proud to many other things as you hear this story. When a wealthy family moved into the neighborhood, Cain cast his eye upon their lovely daughter Aiko and desired her. In his mind, Ishi was second best, so Cain plotted to rid himself of his wife so he could woo and win the fair Aiko. And on a stormy night, on the way home from a great banquet, Cain pushed Ishi over the cliff and into the bay. No one heard her scream, though the howling wind. No one suspected foul play when Cain came rushing back to the banquet hall, shouting for help because his poor wife had slipped and fallen over the cliff. Cain acted the part of the bereaved husband to perfection. He gave Ishi a splendid funeral. And it wasn't until he was alone in his house that Cain relaxed and drank to his success. Outside, the wind whipped against the house, making the walls rattle and shake. A stray breeze swept through the sleeping room with a whisper, "Vengeance, vengeance." Cain sat up and blinked as a dark figure stepped into the room. Its long, tangled black hair hung over the dirty, blood-stained kimono. Its face was crushed and broken with one eyeball hanging from the socket. The ghost of Ishi reached out, a broken hand toward her husband, smiling through the shattered remains of her teeth. Vengeance. Vengeance. Cain screamed in terror, leapt out of the window, and ran to a neighbor's house. Mistaking his fear for grief, the neighbors took him in and insisted he stay with them during the first few weeks. of his bereavement. A month passed as Cain waited for Ishi's ghost to reappear, but she'd vanished. Relieved, Cain decided it was safe to bring Aiko and her family to see his home. And as he escorted Aiko's parents around the garden, he felt a hand on his arm. Cain turned around and found himself facing a beautiful Ishi who kissed him and whispered in his ear, "Vengeance." Laughing, Ishi danced away, waving to Aiko and her parents as she passed. Fearing that Aiko might end the betrothal, Cain pressed forward with his suit, arranging for a grand engagement feast to prove his devotion. Friends, neighbors, and family came to the banquet hall to laugh and toast over food and wine. Cain was very pleased with his success. But when he looked across the hall, he saw the ghost of the beautiful young Ishi walking into the room and standing demurely in the corner. He paused mid-sentence and stared in horror as she laughed and began to change, her body twisting and broken before Cain's eyes, the face collapsing inward and bleeding, her black hair tangling, her eyeball popping out of its socket. "Vengeance," she whispered. "No, no," Cain shouted. Around him, Aiko, her parents, and the guests stared. None of them could see the ghost. As Ishi drifted out of the door, Cain followed, vowing she would haunt him no more. The ghost drifted along the cliff path with Cain running after her, shouting and cursing. And suddenly the ghost stopped at the place where Cain had pushed her. She turned to face Cain and started to grow. Her crushed body, bloody and dirty, her eyeballs swaying, her shattering teeth gleaming in the moonlight. "Vengeance," she screamed and lunged at Cain. And the samurai stepped backward, face contorting in fear. His foot slipped suddenly on the loose earth, and he plunged backward over the edge of the cliff, his body fatally smashing into the rocks far below. The same night, another terrible storm beat against Cain's house. Lightning hit the roof, and the house burned to the ground. Neighbors claimed they could hear a voice in the wind saying one word over and over and over: vengeance. Those thoughts, those deeds, those stories took over Cain's present thoughts, right? He became very paranoid. His focus brought images and experiences both disturbing, haunting, and murderous. Now, I bring you this tale not so much about a murderer and his narcissistic ways and all the other failures of character, you might say, that Cain had, but as someone focused on the constant want. The next shiny object, that's his life, was the next shiny object, a life that leads any of us in this idea of want, nowhere good and nowhere very fast, like it did for Cain in this story. When any of us are haunted by an old story of wanting and feel out of control and stuck, we don't need to go out and kill anything. We don't even need to go out and kill that old story. We need to replace it with focusing on what it is we want to reveal. We have the power to move beyond this haunting that shows up in our lives when these old stories show up. The stuckness, you might say, by metaphorically looking up and remembering that each of us is spirit in form and completely, totally, and perfectly always supported by and as spirit. Now, I know any of the circumstances or appearances that you face that are in your way that you don't like, that coming from junk ideas from the past, they're real facts, man. They are facts. I get it. But I also know that the true reality, that spirit and our communion with it is greater and more powerful, more real, and can and will resolve these appearances of separation, these pains of the hurts, the results from any fear and anger that has happened in the change of living a wanting life to living a having life. Thirdly, the question is, isn't it uncanny? For that, I go to Thomas Troward from his fabulous book, Creative Process in the Individual, where he says, what we shall eventually attain is not what we merely wish, but what we regard as normal. What is it you want to be normal in your life? You know, appearances and conditions are always going to come up. Something is going to manifest from some old story that we haven't replaced yet. And we got to get used to that, and it's okay, and it does suck sometimes, but we can bust through if we don't ignore the appearance or the condition that showed up. We must, as the Bible says, we must walk through the valley of the shadow of various yucky or scary things. I don't think it says that in the Bible, but something like it. We must walk through the valley of the shadow of various yucky or scary things, not around it. Face it, name it, vent about it maybe if you have to for a short bit of time, but then allow the infinite within, that divine intelligence, this power that we talk about that's behind me all here, written in words, allow that infinite within to inform and guide us through the path that we need to take through it, resurrecting the greater knowledge by revealing the divinity within, and ascending to the best knowing and the best doing that we can, and establish a new normal. Establish a new normal, an optimized habit, you might say, free of limitation, free of pain, hate, want, or hesitation. Fourthly, isn't it eerie? Oscar Wilde said, a mask tells us more than a face. So this weekend, we celebrate a time of belief that the veil between the world and the other world, or whatever that may be called, is thin or has dissolved. Halloween, of course, today. There is one tomorrow called Samhain, All Souls Day, Dia de Muertos, that Steve talked about and sang about, are all considered threshold days. I find that very interesting. Days to remove the masks of wannabes and show the face of divine beings. We all wear these masks sometimes, not all the time, but we all wear these masks to hide, to protect. And this is the time when we get together in this supposedly spooky holidays, when the heavens, as is described in these holidays, opens up, and we can remove those masks and become our authentic selves. Now, Samhain is Gaelic. It's a ancient Gaelic holiday. It means summer's end, and it celebrates the end of the harvest. And it was like a New Year's party back in ancient days, signaling a time of both death and rebirth. Death, removal of the mask, and rebirth, the showing of our authentic selves. The Encyclopedia Britannica notes that during this fiery festival, because there's all kinds of fire things going on, the world of the gods was believed to be made visible to humankind. Samhain is also where the tricks in Trick or Treat comes from, actually, and costume-wearing monsters and bonfires were first introduced. So all those are ancient things that we do now during Halloween. Steve talked about and sung about Dia de Muertos, which is a Mexican holiday from Spain, actually, Day of the Dead. You probably saw it illustrated in movies like Coco, and beautiful movie, Coco. There's one called The Book of Life, and there's one called Hasta Luego. It's a sacred, joyous time about connecting with loved ones who have passed, but it's also a sacred time of digging into the powerful ancient wisdom of love and prayer and the appreciation of loving times that we have had and that we will have. Now, all these may seem eerie, but they symbolize a ritual of connection, a removing of the masks of deception and the needs of protection that is truly unnecessary, really. We can move past the old world of the scary monsters of appearances and conditions into honoring and living the truth, the universal, powerful truth full of ideas of having, prospering, and healing. There's a gentleman named Charles de Foucauld. He was a Catholic priest in the late 1900s, early 20th century, and he said this: faith strips the mask from the world and renders meaningless such words as anxiety, danger, and fear. So the believer goes through life calmly and peacefully with profound joy, like a child hand in hand with his mother. It's not creepy or weird to be authentic, to relish in the power of the divine that you already are, living a spiritual life in a human experience. If we stay in the field of right and wrong dualities, we wear a mask that hides the true freedom and love of the universe. And when we remove these masks and let go of the old stories and hurts and beliefs and fears and pains, not by wrestling with them, not by necessarily killing them, but by looking up and around and through them to the true source and substance of our prosperity, of our supply, of our love, of our healing, the true source of our freedom arrives. And as we transcend appearances and step away from those facts, the thresholds of the truth open up, and we follow the path of an enlightened individual. Now, this is very interesting considering the what we read out of the Science of Mind book, because of the quote that I'm using from Ernest Holmes, which says, we cannot be in peace until we know that the spirit is the only cause, medium, and effect in our lives. There is no past, present, and future to it. Evil has no history and has never entered into the being or the experience of reality. And that's reality with the big R. Reality that is true. Reality that is universal. Not that reality thing we call the facts in our lives. Evil has no history and has never entered into the being or the experience of the divine, of God, of spirit, of the power and presence, the divine intelligence, the divine love that is within you right here and right now, ready for you. Isn't that spooky? All that power that is there for you, isn't that spooky? Yes, it is. Spooky good. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Let us place our hands on our hearts and together declare our love offering blessing. Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless. It is evidence of my conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply. I joyously contribute to the vision of my spiritual center, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. Amen. Hallelujah. Thank you for your blessed love offerings.
Presentation of our authentic selves. We are showing spirit. We are showing divine. We are showing God. God is speaking right here and now. And in this speaking, in this being of who we are authentically, we bring forth into our lives exactly what it is we have declared, exactly what it is we have revealed, or even better than we could have thought of. It's showing up right now. The universe has the how, we have the what. And the what has been spoken. So in deep appreciation and love and gratitude, I release this word. Together, we all say together. And so it is. We'll be back here next week with some more fun and music, and Steve's going to pop up here and get his guitar and get ready to rock and roll us a little bit more, or not. Maybe it's not rock and roll. I don't know. We'll see. Good fun. Thank you all for joining us. I'm going to leave you with this song. Have a most blessed, blessed week. Namaste.
Lock, stock, and barrel, if you know what I mean. Caught up in a rush of the emotional sea. A little out of sorts while I'm on the machine. Open and endless, but you gotta come clean. Too much all around me has to get done. Yes, this and that be here and there. Now don't forget none. Gotta keep it real, though it can feel like a ton. Stay in the moment, though my mind's overspun. I need clarity. Help me sort this out. This plan in me, bringing terms up down. There are times I let things get in the way of living out the wonderment I crave each given day. All I want is the best of me to stay with you. Clarity, bear with me. I need you. I am who I am, that's why I'm happy and sure. But there are times I get a little insecure. I need your arms around me to reveal the cure. Taking this hesitance I sometimes do. You know, I know how uneasy it can feel deep down inside. I've been twice around the corner, so I can realize that you have to be yourself to earn your fabulous ride. One thing left that can raise my upside, and it's clarity. Completely the brightest view. It's right there to see exactly what to do. Too many serpents spinning around inside my mind. Gotta square them up within a fragment of time, and ordain them with an order that I package inside just for you. Clarity, bear with me. Oh, I need you. best of mine is that you always make it clear. And new, clarity, share with me. I believe in you. Be safe, everybody.